if you're going to run worthy of what God has called you to, it requires suffering. Yeah, I'm not saying you may suffer. I'm not saying be prepared to suffer, maybe. I'm not saying suffering happens sometimes. I'm saying if God has called you, he is going to have you suffer. Joseph had to suffer. Why? Because of what Joseph was called to. He was too called to not suffer. I can't just preach the dream of Joseph, and you got a dream, and God's gonna see it fulfilled. I gotta preach the suffering. Some of us are afraid of this because back in 2019, we were singing Refiner, and then God did it, and now we're like, wait, no, like I'm good. But it's not something we need to fear. It's what we're called to. A.W. Tozer has this quote. He says, it's doubtful whether God can bless a man greatly until he has hurt him deeply. You're like, what? That's not a good God. No. God requires suffering for two reasons. One, his glory, and two, your maturity. You see it in Acts. People have just put their faith in Jesus. They're following this new thing called the way, and they're there. And in Acts 5, just right at the beginning, they're already being persecuted. They're already being beaten up. They're already being in prison. And you know what it says when they get let out? Acts 5:41. So they departed, rejoicing that they were counted worthy to suffer for his name. For his name. The suffering isn't in vain. It's to bring God glory. It's God saying, have you considered my servant Job? It's God saying, hey, I've called them to something. Have you considered them? Well, but why I gotta suffer? Like why would I rejoice in my suffering? What does Paul help us with? We glory in our sufferings, Romans 5, because we know that suffering produces. That the suffering isn't in vain. The suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. I'm learning this now. I've been going back to the gym the last couple weeks. I'll be honest with you. Everything hurts right now. Everything hurts. I took the whole summer off. Right now, I feel terrible. I'm suffering right now, but I know the suffering is producing. The suffering is doing something. With what I've called you to, I'm gonna need you to have hope. With what I've called you to, you're gonna need to be a man of character. With what I've called you to, you're gonna need to learn how to persevere. And so I must have you suffer. The fire isn't to burn you, it's to form you. Suffering is not a maybe, it's a promise. What you gotta do is you can't let the suffering take your sight.